Noswaith, good evening. We are back after a small hiatus of a week. We needed a week to, some of us needed a week to quite simply get their voices back because Mr. Guto Williams, after a trip down to the big old city that is Cardiff, and after watching Wales get humbled slightly by Belgium, sure it
Yeah,
was a good game to watch. Guto in the stadium, always a fantastic atmosphere.
of course.
And then you went into the night. You went out into the streets in Cardiff as well, and you ended up in a questionable club. If any of you are watching from Cardiff, you'll probably know the club Pop World, which is probably one of my wife's favourite clubs. But anyway, and you did some karaoke as well, Guitar. What an absolutely crazy weekend you must have had.
Yeah, I left my voice in Pop World, so I couldn't recover fast enough for the podcast. So, although we apologise that we did miss an episode last week, I appreciate as well that I got just a little bit of rest, just to get my voice back. So, but yeah, after a bit of a heavy weekend, we can move away from that one. The result. Good night out in Cardiff as always. I will be back next
Yeah.
month at some point. So.
Just before you move on, Guitar, what was the song of choice? Karaoke.
Oh, "Slide Away" by Oasis was
There.
my choice. And to be fair,
I'm sure it went down a storm.
it did. Yeah, the whole of Pop World was singing along, so I was quite proud of that one. So yeah, yeah, it was worth it.
Liam Gallagher, who way? Fantastic. Well done. So anyway, let's get back to football because, like I said, we have missed a week.
Mhm.
So we're now recapping week 7. Guitar, absolutely mental. We're about to go into the end of the second month, basically, of the NFL season, which is, my gosh, well,
Yeah,
which is a one to forget for me as a Dolphins fan. But I'm not gonna bore you with that because I think I've said 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm not gonna rant to talk about the Dolphins until they're relevant, and they're far from being relevant at the moment. Apart from the Jets, they are by far the worst team in the NFL. So it's a down year for me. But anyway, we're back. Let's recap week 7 then, Guitar. A few really notable games. Which
Mm.
one do you want to start off? Well, let's just start off with the one that you wanted to talk about, which was a pretty wild fourth quarter. Take us through what happened between the Broncos and the Giants.
Oh, the Giants. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter, so they wasted it. So they were 19-0 going into the
Yeah,
fourth quarter. I think the Rams, I do apologize, the Broncos, I think they did score a touchdown or had a conversion just before the fourth quarter, but they were 19-0. They missed two conversions, and unfortunately the Giants kicker, he's been released, the Irish
yeah.
kicker. So he's actually been released after this game after missing two conversions. Um, but anyway, back into the game. They were 19-0, and the game ended 33-32 to the Broncos, and it was a last second field goal kick as well to win
Yeah.
it. The Broncos defense stepped up. They got an interception deep in their own half. To be honest with you, I don't know what happened to Jackson Dart, but even when the Broncos took the lead before winning the game, the Giants came back, and Jackson Dart, I can see him talking to us, him trying to motivate his team, and it's pretty safe to say that the Giants have their franchise quarterback for the next few years. We've been applauding him enough in this podcast, but we're a massive fan of him, and he showed his maturity in this game as well, I believe, even
Mm.
even after losing. But with less than a minute to go after Giants scored the touchdown, the Broncos just ran the field and at the end scored a pretty domestic field goal to win the game. It was an incredible fourth quarter. Two top teams, Giants now they are a pretty solid team now. They've got their franchise quarterback. They've got a really good running back in Scarido, and obviously with Malik Neighbors coming back from injury next season, the sky's the limit for them, I think. So, but no, a very entertaining 9 o'clock game going into midnight. I usually don't stay up until this late on a Sunday, but yeah, watching this one all the way, I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was a
Yeah.
pretty hectic ending.
I'm glad you stayed up in the end because
Mm.
I think the new motto for the Giants at the moment, especially with Jackson Dart, should be anything is possible.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, being 19 points down at the beginning of the fourth quarter and throwing an interception as well,
Mm.
I saw some of the highlights and some of the throws that he did in the fourth quarter, absolutely exceptional.
Mm.
Like you said, without their top wide receiver, a top three wide receiver in the league, and Malik Neighbours as well. Cam Scaraboo is getting it done as well. My goodness me, the turnaround just, think of the difference in the Giants when they started off with Russell Wilson
Mm.
as quarterback, and like you said, it's almost like the Giants have a new identity now with Jackson
Yeah.
Dart. Clearly, he's a leader, and we've seen enough from him. You said that he's matured. He's an absolute gunslinger as well. That's
Yeah.
exactly the type of quarterback that I love, Guitar. I don't mind a quarterback taking risks and throwing a few interceptions here and there, but he's willing to take those big bombs, those big kind of in between window throws. That's the type of QB that I like to see. And like you said,
Yeah.
Jackson Dart is definitely one of those. The fact that, but what does this say about about the Broncos defense? Because we saw them 2 weeks ago clamping down the Jets. Well, I mean, the Jets offense are absolutely putrid. Is there a Jets offense at the moment? I'd say no. And so would their owner, by the way. We'll get to
Mm.
that later on. We don't even know, Guitar, who's going to be starting at QB on Sunday. Apparently, their head coach Aaron Glenn knows, but he's not willing to say. Is it going to be their backup Tyrod Taylor, or is Justin Fields gonna, I don't know, gonna put his body through another 60 minutes of football because he got absolutely clattered on Sunday. But
Mm.
anyway, we'll talk about the Jets later on. Broncos defense. Do you think that's worth worrying a little bit about? Surely it was a collapse because they gave up so many points, up to 30 points in one quarter. I'm sure
Mm.
Sean Payton must be a little bit worried about that, or the fact that they got it done and they got a last minute field goal. Does that kind of erase a little bit of that defensive problems?
Yeah, I think it would be a bit of a worrying sign considering by paper they've got one of the top defenses in the league. So
Mm,
it's not up to their standard. If I was Sean Payton, I'd be pretty annoyed with that as well.
yeah.
So it is something that they have to look at. Definitely, they've got a big game coming up in the weekend,
Yeah,
which we'll get to later on.
yeah,
And they can't afford to concede so many points when they've got the talents that they have in defense. So it is something that they need to look at 100%. It is definitely something that they'll need to improve on, considering they are one of the top defenses in the league. So it'll be interesting to see if they've learned from this game. I think they've conceded quite a few points in the past as well,
mm,
in the last few games. So yeah, they need to step it up a little bit more. Obviously, we're into week 8 now, so we're getting into the little bit of the nitty gritty of things. They've had the game in London. I don't know when the bye week is, but probably they'll be looking forward to that just to get their head back in it, get their shape ready and everything for the next game. But the game on the weekend for the Broncos is really big, and they can't afford to drop as many points with the defense that they've got.
yeah. They've got some dogs on
Mm.
on their defense, haven't they? Pat Surtain is probably one of the best, if not the best cornerback in the league. And they kind of, to me, they've kind of changed into more like a bend don't break defense. So
Mm.
like you said, they're giving up a lot of points at the moment. However, at the end of the day, as long as you're still winning games, what matters.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think Bo Nix scored 2 rushing touchdowns as well on that
Mm.
Sunday as well,
Yeah.
which was another element of his game that we kind of haven't seen, especially last year. So he can definitely throw the ball, and now that he can use his legs as well, Broncos starting to kind of come out of as one of the dark horses. The Chargers are like we thought the Chargers were going to do. They're quickly fading, I
Mm.
think, in that division. The Chiefs are definitely on the rise. The
Yeah.
Broncos are on the rise. The Raiders are complete and utter nightmare.
Mm.
A little bit disappointing. I thought they'd be slightly better, especially with a new coach in Pete Carroll. But unfortunately, the lack of star players they've got on that squad is quite shocking as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, So it's a two-horse race between the Broncos for me and the Chiefs to win the AFC South. Another game that we'll quickly move on to. Nothing to say much about this because it was an absolute blowout. The last London game of the season, and I have to say, Gito, I think we talked about this in the week. Unfortunately, the London games have been rather unfortunate this year. Obviously, the NFL have to learn. If please don't bring the jet. Please don't bring the Jets to London once again. It seems that the Jets are coming back year after year after year. And look, I know I might be a bitter Dolphins fan, and I hate the Jets anyway, but the Jets are not going to be good for at least two, three, even 4 seasons.
Mm.
Let's park the Jets and park the Dolphins as well. I'm happy for the Dolphins to stay in America for a while. I know that they're going to Madrid. I'd love to say that I'm going there. I'm definitely not going there anymore. Let's just park these terrible teams
Mm.
and let's show the world, especially in the UK, some even mediocre teams and some of the best teams. And on
Yeah,
paper, Guitar, the Rams against the Jaguars, like I said, on paper, was supposed to be a really, really good matchup. However, it turned out to be an absolute blowout. Even the Rams without their star wide receiver, Puka Nacua.
yeah, yeah. 35-7 to the LA Rams. It was 35-0 at one point, I believe.
Yeah,
So the Rams was all over the Jaguars. You'd think with how the Jaguars are doing so far this season that it'd be a pretty
yeah,
decent, good game, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I agree with you with the last three London games. They've not lived up to par. Um, it might. I mean, I've got my suspicions. Obviously, we don't. Congratulations to Dublin. They had an incredible game. It
it
was a
did.
really good
Yeah.
game, and the first game in Dublin, all the excitement was over there. Obviously,
Mm.
uh, I don't want to get into the politics of things, but the pricing of tickets for the games, that's always a question. It always goes higher, and paying for that much for the quality that we get, the fans are going to lose interest. And
Yeah.
obviously, with content creators or celebrities that has nothing to do with the NFL, they get a free
Mm.
pass to the game, and it takes us away from the loyal UK Europe fans. It's not good for us really, but I digest. I don't want to get into the politics of things. The
Yeah.
quality of these games overall, the last three games, hasn't been the best.
They're
So
terrible, aren't
it
they?
is something that we need to look at, that they need to look at. Bringing some, maybe it seems that they haven't been here. Obviously, we've had the Jets twice in the last 2 3 years or whatever. Nobody wants to see the Browns. Obviously, it would have been more exciting if Shadur Sanders were maybe playing,
True.
but
True.
however, it wasn't to be. Um, bring like teams who are like, you got to you got the
Detroit.
bad, you got the good. Get teams like us in the middle here.
Detroit, I'd say get teams like Detroit over, get the
Yeah,
Chiefs over,
yeah,
get get the Eagles over. Let get the Bills over. Like get some of the best teams in the
mm,
AFC and the NFC
of
over,
course, yeah,
because these teams are going to be good now for at least, like we said, the next 5 years. The complete opposite to the Browns, the Dolphins,
mm,
the Jets, the Titans potentially. You know, I know that these franchises want to grow outside of the United States as well. However, like I said, this is going to affect the. I wonder how it's going to affect the ticketing sales next year. I doubt that it's going to, because you've obviously only got 3 games in London every way in
mm,
every single year. But if I don't know how I would have felt if I would have paid £150 for a ticket to see the Jets against getting absolutely steamrolled by the
mm,
Broncos a couple of weeks ago. I'm
yeah,
like, what's the point really? Okay, you're there for the entertainment as well, and it's a fantastic late day
yeah,
out. It's in a brilliant stadium as well. But if you're a Jets fan, my goodness me, tough
mm,
tough slogging, isn't it? And
yes, yeah,
it really kind of digs into how much do you want this and how much do you love your team and things like that. And it's almost like you kind of grow um a difficult relationship with your team where you know that they're not good, but they're still going to draw you back somehow. And that's what happens with me with the Dolphins over the last 15, 20 years. But anyway, so yeah, the Rams, looking really, really strong. I think they're 5-2 now. um and I believe Puka Nacua will be back in a couple of weeks. 2 touchdowns to Devontae. Devontae Adams looks
Mm.
really, really good as well.
Yeah,
Kyron Williams, they've always got a threat. Matt Stafford looks like, he's a real deal as well. He looks really healthy this year. The
yeah.
defense, especially that D-line, looks really, really nasty. So those are the 2 games. Shall we talk about arguably one of the top, well, not arguably at all, Guitar. Let's be honest, they've got the best record in the NFL. Who would have thought after week 7 that the Indianapolis Colts are 6-1?
Where did this come from? Honestly, where on earth did this come from? To do it in SoFi Stadium as well against the Chargers is that's achievement in
Excellent
itself.
coaching.
Yeah,
Excellent coaching.
38-24 to the Colts, and they're 6-1. It doesn't
Mm.
look like anyone is going to catch up with them anytime soon. I don't know what Daniel Jones, what he's been taking or anything, but I love his nickname, Indiana Jones. By the way, that's just the perfect
Classic.
nickname
Yeah.
for him. But oh my goodness, the Colts, and because considering the season that Daniel Jones had with the Giants last season, to being
Yeah.
benched as well, getting dropped by the Giants and everything, and to recharge himself. Oh, there was a QB competition with Anthony Richardson as well, and he
Mm.
seems to be doing really well with that as well. Anthony Richardson hasn't even had a sniff of the ball yet, and the way things are going, I don't think he will this season for if he still
No.
sticks with the Colts. So yeah, the Colts, they're doing incredibly well. We're playing the Colts in Berlin soon in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I'm quite worried about that game, to be quite honest, considering how they're going and how bit of a off and on the Falcons are at the moment. But we'll get to that later on. But yeah, my goodness, the Colts, best record in the league, top of the AFC, and who they've got this week. I need to have a quick look who they've got this week.
Titans.
They've got the
got
Titans this week. They can beat they're going to be 7-1 at this
They
rate.
should. Well, they should. However, I believe that the Titans are their bogey team. If I remember correctly, it's either them or the Jaguars that that they always lose to. But anyway, you never know. Anything can happen in a divisional matchup. But you would have
Yeah,
thought that they should go 7-1, which is quite frightening, actually. The
yeah.
one thing that I'll say about the Colts, Gitter, is, like I said, brilliant coaching, Shane Steichen, especially on the offense. Tyler Warren looks like the real deal at tight end as well.
Yeah, he does.
He was taken one position after the Dolphins in the draft. We won't talk about that. And in terms of Daniel Jones, Guitar, the only thing that I'll say about the Colts is that the Colts clearly is a QB friendly scheme. We've seen what's happened where some of these QBs seem to have kind of like been lost into the abyss. You're talking about people like Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and now look at what's happened to Daniel Jones as well. Ultimately, they've all gone to either the Jets or the Giants, and now they've found success elsewhere. But yeah, I think the Colts are playing all around really, really good football because their defense is far better than people think as well. And Chavarius Ward has been out as well, so he's going to come back soon. They're starting cornerback, so unbelievable. Is this sustainable, Gitter? I don't know. I think when it comes down to the playoffs and they come against one of the really, really good teams, if they do start to beat some of the best teams in the AFC and the NFC, I'll definitely I'll eat my words. However, I'll wait until they see, because their only loss is to the Broncos, I
Yeah.
believe. So maybe that's down to their schedule. We'll kind of see in a couple of weeks, and we'll kind of park that bus and come back to it. But it's absolutely incredible what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So what other ones? Only other notable wins as well. So clearly the Chiefs are back. They're slowly rising. Like I said, they absolutely obliterated the Raiders, who look absolutely like a gone and lost team at the moment. And the other big win for me the weekend was the Monday night game in Detroit, when Detroit absolutely slapped around the Bucks,
Yeah.
who last week had one of the best records in the NFL as well. Maybe Baker Mayfield's worst game of the season, potentially.
Possibly so. And let's not get away. We need to talk about the player of the week, Jamar Gibbs, as well.
Oh
We
yeah,
picked him as our player of the week. 136 rushing yards, receiving yards 82, and 2 touchdowns. And then
mad.
he was just a rocket in that position, and he just flew away from the defense. The Buccaneers looked lost in that game. The Lions were incredible. They've got a bye week this week, which I think they'll be happy with after the win. I don't remember who they've got after the bye week, but yeah, a very, very impressive win there for the Lions. And yeah, just going back to the Chiefs quickly, I think they're back to their best now. Mahomes is playing really good. Kelsey's getting receptions. They're starting to look at their best again, and they're into the right part of their record now. I think they're 3-3 or 4-3. I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
they're 3-3, I think.
they're
Yeah.
3-3. But yeah, they're looking back to their best now. When it's going to be quite worrying a few weeks if you're playing against the Chiefs.
Absolutely, and
Mm.
ultimately, Gito, they got Rashee Rice back as well from
Yeah.
his six game suspension, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Mm.
Xavier Worthy didn't even have a good game in this game, and Mahomes was just kind of, Kelsey was just left all open. I know this is, a lot of it is down to the to the Raiders defense as well,
Yeah.
which is absolutely appalling. But yeah, 2 touchdowns. I love Rashee Rice. I think he's an absolute baller as well. So like you said, look for the Chiefs to start building, and especially if they can get their defense and their running game especially back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to start rolling as well. And another thing on Detroit, Skipper, if it's not Jameer Gibbs going off, it's David Montgomery.
Mm.
It's either one or the other. Somehow they always manage to get. Amon-Ra is consistently, getting 80, 100 yards. I know he got 85 and one touchdown and a touchdown on Monday night. So yeah, Detroit for me are such an enjoyable team to watch. I
Yeah.
absolutely love to watch them. They're so, the type of offense that they've got is so attractive to the eye. I absolutely love it. So it's one team that I'm going to be keeping an eye at, and I do believe that I at the beginning of the season I think I said that the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl. So I really hope that happens because
Mm.
they're an well coached team and they've got absolute ballers on offense and defense as well.
Yeah.
So the Lions and the Chiefs are risers. Quickly on the Bucks, Skipper. Like I said, not the best week for the Bucks. Obviously, they suffered a loss. Egbuka was injured last week as well. He had to leave during the win against the San Francisco 49ers. And ultimately, they suffered a really, really bad injury to Mike Evans, who had just come back from an injury as well. So unfortunately, he's going to have to have surgery on his collarbone, and he potentially won't be back until the beginning of the playoffs, or at least mid-December, which is
Mm.
a massive blow.
Massive, massive blow for the 49ers. And that was probably the highlight of the offense as well, that wide receiver room. Um, Obviously, Emeka Egbuka, he was questionable at the weekend. He's not
Yeah.
at 100%, but losing Mike Evans, who is chasing a record as well, which is not going to
Yes.
happen now, which is very fortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, losing Mike Evans is a massive, massive blow. They've got a decent game on the weekend. They are away. They're in New Orleans against the Saints.
New
So
Orleans.
it
Yeah.
would be interesting to see where the mindset is at with the injuries and everything and that loss to the Lions. Obviously, the Saints, they're performing, but they're not getting the results. So that's one interesting game to keep an eye on the weekend.
Yeah, yeah. The Bucks have got a long, long list of injuries. Chris Godwin is still out. Bucky Irving, their running back, is out, and now Michael Evans is out as well. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to have to step up on the offense. And Baker clearly has just a bad day at the office, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
but I surely suspect the Bucks to bounce back, especially against the Saints on Sunday.
Yeah.
But like I said, yeah, the Saints have been playing, decent football lately.
Mm.
Um, So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if they are going to pick up a few more wins. I surely think that they will, because I
Mm.
know that they're playing the Dolphins in a month or so time. So that's going to be an interesting game. Gito, shall we move on to our five of the week?
Yes. So week 8, and yeah, our 5 a week. Should we start off with the team that we've just mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs? They'll be going up
Yeah,
against the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels has been ruled out of the game.
he has.
So no prime time for Jaden Daniels. This is a Monday night game, I believe. Marcus Mariota will be
Mariota.
taking place against the Chiefs offense, against the Chiefs defense. I don't see a way the Commanders can win this one with Marcus Mariota, to be quite honest with you. I think this is one of the pretty much easiest decision. We'll go with the Chiefs winning this one, David.
Yeah, the Commanders have been very frustrating this year. I
Mm.
know they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Jaden Daniels had literally just come back from an injury where he got. I think it's a. I'm trying to think. Is it an ankle sprain that he suffered, something like that. Anyway,
Mm.
so he's going to be out for at least one game. So it's a shame because I genuinely thought that the Commanders were going to take that next step this year and potentially win the division, but
Yeah, yeah.
they're still in the running, I guess, but the Giants are looking upwards. The Eagles are, although they're very inconsistent. They had a really good bounce back win on the weekend, so I don't see the Commanders unless there's a massive drop off with Philadelphia towards the end of the season, doing anything in the playoffs this year. So
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. I think the Chiefs are going to start rolling here. Especially like we've already said with Rashi Rice back. I've picked up Xavier Worthy on my fantasy app because I think he's going to have a bounce back game, and because I've messed up. I think I've already told you this. I have 6 players out on bye this week, so I might as well take the week off. Guitar. I mean, I'm literally throwing caution to the wind this week and say, yeah, let's grab you. Whoever's available. Let's kind of let's hope for the best.
Mm.
So yeah, I drafted Xavier Worthy because. I think he's gonna try and stretch the field with Mahomes, and I
Yeah,
believe it's a Monday night game as well against the
yeah,
Commanders.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Monday night game. Yeah,
So yeah, so we're
There's
gonna go with
two
the
Monday
Chiefs on that.
nights. Yeah,
Two
there's
Monday
two
nights.
Monday
Yeah.
night games. No, I apologize. There's only one, but there's another prime time game. Who is second on our list of the 5 of the week? The Steelers against the Packers. This is
Mm.
going to be a tasty one, I believe.
So this is
Um,
at Lambeau, correct?
this is in Pittsburgh.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Mm.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought it was a Packers home game.
Mm.
Um, that changes my. Oh, that's a predicament there, because if it
Mm.
was the Packers at home, I would have definitely put the Packers down to win.
Mm.
However, the Steelers coming off let's be honest, a pretty rough loss, an ugly loss to Joe Flacco, like you said, in the Senior Bowl, as it was called. Flacco against Rogers, two 40-year-old quarterbacks,
Mm.
and a really good win for the Bengals. And you know what? They
Yeah.
might have another win because they're playing the Jets, I believe, this Sunday.
Mm.
So they might be able to reel 2 wins in a row there. Um, Steelers coming off a bad loss. Are they going to win at home against the Packers? I don't know. The Packers are very inconsistent outside of Lambeau. Gito, who have you got in this one, do you think?
Yeah. Let's just talk about the Senior Bowl for a second, because I really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching the highlights for this game. I've got the stats here. Joe Flacco threw 31 out of 47, 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron
Wow.
Rodgers threw 249 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's a Super Bowl matchup right there, right?
In,
And
including, Gito, I believe, a 70-yard Hail Mary at the end. Did you see
yeah,
that?
yeah. We
Matt.
we we did debate Jamar Chase as another player of the week contender, didn't we? He had a very excellent game, 23 targets, 16 receptions, 161 yards and a touchdown, which is a record for him and a record for the Bengals, I believe.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he had a very excellent game as well. So 41-40 in the end that game was. So
Wild.
it depends where the mindset is at after a game like that. Aaron Rodgers he was the biggest signing of the free agency for the Steelers, and they're doing okay. They've lost a games here and there. They lost quite embarrassingly I think is the word. Obviously, that loss against the Seahawks, what the defense was doing
Yeah.
there. I am going to go with the Packers winning this one. I do think.
Okay.
I do think. For me, even though the Packers D looked a bit inconsistent as well, um, yeah, it is a bit. This is a tough one, but my heart is set on Packers on this one, on the Green Bay Packers,
Okay.
just because I think there's more. I think there's more. I guess physicalness to the side of Green Bay. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong on this one, but I just see the Packers. Um,
Oh
it's,
yeah. If the
it's
pack, let's be honest, if the Packers turn up on defense, then
yeah, mm,
this could be an easy victory for them.
yeah, yeah.
I just like
It
I
is a
said,
close one to predict, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna stick with Green Bay on this one.
Yeah, funny to note as well that the final score between the Bengals and the Steelers, 41-40, actually matches the age of the quarterbacks that were on the field as well, which is quite interesting.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, the Steelers get. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know what to think about the Steelers. Like I said, they're very inconsistent. They seem very, very vulnerable to me. Obviously, they're all in on one season, aren't
Mm,
they? With
yeah,
getting Ramsey, Aaron Rodgers, Janu Smith to an extent, DK Metcalf as well, who hasn't performed as well as I thought he would. I have to say,
mm,
I'd be if I was a Steelers fan, I'd be taking a note to see what um, George Pickens is doing over in Dallas. He is
yeah.
absolutely lighting it up over there.
Mm,
Um, what were they thinking with that trade? But anyway, maybe they've got something down the line. But yeah, I don't know. Pat Frymouth had a really good game against the Bengals. He went over 100 yards, their tight end. He scored 2 touchdowns, I believe. He was their top receiver, I think. So yeah, do you know what, Guitar? You've convinced me. Let's go with the Packers. Why not?
yeah, yeah.
Why not?
Another game we
This,
were debating as
yeah, this
well.
this is hard. This is tough. This is one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another game we were debating, and we shouldn't even be debating it, but the way we've watched the two teams play so far, the Eagles against the Giants, this is a funny one as well, I think. People
Let's
might
be
say,
honest.
the Giants had the best team in the league. They had the Super Bowl defenders. Obviously, the Giants, they had one of the worst seasons last season. Why is this such a close game? If you've not been watching the NFL the last 7 weeks, this is a 50-50 game for both of us here, David. So,
Well, this
yeah.
this is a classic head or heart matchup, isn't it? Obviously,
Mm,
your head.
yeah,
All reason says the Eagles at home, coming off a really, really good comeback victory on the weekend.
yeah,
Clearly, they get the win. Your heart, Jackson Dart, has clearly got our hearts here on the NFL Cymru podcast. The
yeah,
heart says, and to be fair, we predicted when they played a couple of weeks ago when the Giants were home, one of his first starts that they were going to beat the Eagles, and they did.
yeah.
However, I don't know. I think my logic is going to kind of kick in here and say maybe this is a step too far for the Giants to win at Philadelphia. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, we have to be realistic here, I think, do we? Even though that we were proven right a couple of weeks ago when they beat the Eagles at home, but playing in Lambeau Field, um, this Eagles team, they had a pretty decent showing on the weekend as well, I believe. Were they playing on the weekend? I don't remember, to be honest
Yeah,
with
they did.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
but
can't
yeah,
remember who they actually played. Was it the Cardinals that they played? I can't remember. But anyway, it was a handsome victory. And
yeah, I think
AJ
we have to be
Brown's
realistic. Yeah.
AJ Brown finally scored a touchdown as well, and I
Mm,
saw Jalen Hurts throwing a few deep balls as well, which hasn't been
yeah.
happening lately. But
Have you
yeah,
noticed as
but
well, by the way, David, and
yeah,
apologies for interrupting,
that's
when
right.
Jalen Hurts throws a deep ball, he runs as well as the ball is in the air.
Oh, does
But
he?
he does, yeah.
What, he
When he
runs
throws a
forward?
deep ball or a Hail Mary, he'll run towards the ball as well.
Oh no,
But
I haven't noticed
yeah,
that.
it's actually quite incredible to see, to be honest. It's
Okay,
unlikely that he's going to win the ball, obviously,
no,
but yeah, it's
maybe
incredible really to see.
maybe
He'll
maybe
take
the
like a half a second and then he'll just run.
maybe the momentum is kind of carrying him forward, or maybe I don't know. Maybe it's kind of something that he's done since he was a little boy, and
Mm.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
kind of a habit kind of thing. Yeah, I'll have
yeah,
to. Oh, you know, interesting. I'll look out for that next time.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah. Back to the Eagles. I think obviously the Giants are going to sling the ball around, aren't they? Clearly, we've seen this over the last couple of weeks since
yeah.
Jackson Dart has taken over as QB.
Mm.
Whether they can realistically keep scoring against the Eagles, and like I said, Gito, at the end of the day, the Giants were down 19-0 at the
Mm.
beginning of the fourth quarter against the Broncos as well. So
Yeah,
maybe it's kind of like a one quarter wonder that we saw from Jackson Dart on the weekend, but clearly they can score. The only thing is, are we going to see potentially a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions from Jackson Dart as well, or are the Giants going to try and run the ball with Cam Scaraboo as well?
mm.
But yeah, let's be honest. I think the safest bet here is to say that the Eagles are going to win at home.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go with the Eagles on this one, but
Yeah,
this will be one to keep close eye on. This one,
yeah. So the next one isn't a gimme as well, is it? Broncos at
Broncos
home
and Cowboys.
to to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are coming off scoring 44 points as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And like I said, George Pickens is turning out as one of the signings of the season at the moment for the Dallas Cowboys. Um, Broncos. We've already talked about the defense on the Broncos
Hmm.
giving up so many points in the fourth quarter against the Giants.
Yeah.
Um, Ultimately, I think we've gone for the Broncos here because they're at home.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the Broncos defense did very, very well for three quarters as well. They were, like we said, they were 19-0. It was almost shut out for three
Yeah.
quarters.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I expect this might be a really high scoring game, if I'm honest with you. The
I hope
Cowboys,
so.
like I said,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
scoring a lot at the moment, but so are the Broncos.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be the game of the week, probably. This could be a very
Mm,
entertaining game, this one. But yeah, I think we are slightly going to go with the Broncos in this one as well. I'm quite happy with that. Bo
yeah.
Nix, he's one of the future quarterbacks as well, I think, in his league. And
Yeah.
it's his second season in the NFL. He looks very mature when he throws a ball, especially in deep moments, especially in when they're down a few points, and especially in a game against the Giants. He proved that he is a top quarterback in the league. So yeah, we'll go with the home team Broncos in this one.
I think in terms of Bo Nix, he's had to do a little bit less this year. There seems to be less pressure on him, especially on offense. Last year, as they made it into the playoffs,
Mm.
as a wild card, it seemed like there was a lot on his shoulders in order to get them there. Their defense
Yeah.
wasn't quite as prolific as it was this year. Maybe it's more kind of they seem to be more of a balanced team this year, I
Mm.
think. And like I said, he rushed for two touchdowns on the weekend as well. So if he can add that into his armory as well, so that's going to be something to look out. So yeah, happy to go with the Broncos at home. But let's be honest, Ginto, we're here for one reason, one reason only, to preview the tastiest, matchup of the weekend. That
The
is
main event of the weekend.
the mighty 1-6 Dolphins against the 3-3 Falcons at
Yeah.
Atlanta at the Superdome. Not the
Mm.
Superdome, sorry, at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Um, I'm not even going to stand here, or rather sit here and argue my way through how the Dolphins are going to win this one, Gito. This is all on you. I am. There is no. I see a massive Bijan Robinson get back game here. I think he's going to rush for over 100 yards, and I think Drake London is going to go off as well. And look, the Dolphins have lost. Tight end Darren Waller he's on IR, so he's going to be out for 4 weeks. Malik Washington, our other wide receiver, is knocked up. So it's basically down to Devon Achan, who is balling at the moment,
Mm.
and Jalen Waddle, who only caught one catch for 15, 20 yards on the weekend. We can't stop nobody on defense. Gitter, if you don't score more than 25, 30 points in this game, what are the Falcons doing?
First of all, pretty disappointing loss against the 49ers, and I want to give
Yeah.
49 I want to give the 49ers some flowers.
Okay.
We've not been slating them, but we've been downgrading them quite a bit in this podcast, and they're 5-2, I believe. They've got a
They
pretty
are.
good record
They're somehow getting it done. Somehow.
with the injuries that they've got. So,
Mac
fair play to the
Jones as
49ers.
well.
They're doing really well.
That's QB.
They're playing the Texans this weekend. I think they're going to win that one as well. So, yeah,
Mm.
flowers to the 49ers. We beat the
Yeah.
Bills 2 weeks ago. That was a very good win for us there. We couldn't review it last week, obviously, because I had no
You beat the
voice.
Bills, Gito, didn't you? You beat the
We did,
Bills.
yes.
Yeah.
Bijan had his best game. Bijan had a decent game against the 49ers as well. Going into this Dolphins game,
Mm.
I do think the Falcons are going to win. Now, so far, the one thing I was worried about, though, Ed,
Mhm.
so whenever a team plays terribly, no offense,
Yeah.
and the manager, the coach, they sack him, they get rid of him. So
Mhm.
the next game they bring a new manager or possibly an interim manager. The players'
Yeah.
mindset changes and there's a bit more positivity. It's a brand new start, and they usually play well in their next game. Maybe get a result,
A bounce back game.
a bounce back game, or like a first win for the new coach. That always happens for the Falcons. It happened last season
Oh.
against when we played against the Saints. It was the coach's first game and they beat us. It happened. It happens all the time for us for the Saints, and it happens in a lot of sports as well.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Mike McDaniel is still there.
Mhm.
It gives me that little bit more confidence that we can actually win this game.
Mhm.
So that was my. I've been not worrying, but I've been like pondering like, oh, is Mike McDaniel's going to get a sack? Are they going to bring someone else in? I hope he's there so we can maybe it'd be his last final game or something. I don't know. Who knows? I'm quite surprised I am quite surprised he's still there. To be honest, can they even afford to get rid of him? I'm not too sure. I don't know what the politics and the behind the scenes of that is.
We
But
don't.
coming off a loss against the 49ers, we should win this one comfortably. No offense to it, but we should. And
Absolutely.
I am quite I am glad that so far, Mike McDaniel is still there to coach because obviously things aren't going too well. It looks like
To
I've just
see.
read a tweet as well quickly that Michael Penix Jr. is expected to play as well, so he will
Okay,
be.
fine. Okay,
That's
because
just
he was
came in the last few
questionable.
seconds. Yeah, so it looks like he will be starting. There's a lot of politics going on in the Falcons camp at the moment. Obviously, a few weeks ago, we sacked our wide receiver coach.
Mhm.
Ray McLeod has just been released.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can put my finger on is he's either broken a rule or broken a code, like a
Yeah.
code for like training ground, and he's just acted unreasonably towards coaching staff, towards players. He was sent home before the 49ers game, so I don't
Mm.
know what's going on there. I can just put it down to, recklessness, actions, or, it's just acting plain stupid. So he's gone.
Is
But yeah,
he hadn't requested a trade or anything, and I
no,
like how would he been performing in games?
he's well at the moment with Daniel Mooney being questionable.
Yeah.
He's been taking reps. He's been having catches here and there. I believe he has scored a touchdown for us actually in against the Commanders. I believe it was.
Mhm.
So he's doing okay. He's done okay, but coaches they're quite strict with their rules, with the codes and everything. So that's why I pointed down to he was sent home just before the 49ers game, and there was no much
Yeah.
of comment from Raheem Morris on that. But as of Monday or even yesterday, he was released from the team. He's gone. So
I'm
there's a lot
guessing
of I'm worried about
maybe
the
the
mindset of that as well.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that's like the end of it and we can just move on and fresh start for against this Dolphins team and get the W.
I'm guessing that I guess we don't know. The other option could be he requested a trade, but
Hmm.
maybe that would maybe that would have come out by now if he
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
like you said the red flag for me is being sent home just before the 49ers game. That sounds like behavior
yeah.
issues. Like you
Hmm.
said, he's broken a code of something. Maybe he's gone past curfew, or I don't know. Like you said, it could be
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
anything. But anyway, he has signed elsewhere. He's just signed with the Giants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I just
that's
saw
an interesting one. Mm.
just before we started recording, he has signed. He's been picked up by the Giants,
Oh wow. Okay. That's
which need help
yeah.
at wide receiver anyway.
No,
So
yeah. Yeah.
maybe it's not that much of a red flag in terms of behavior. I don't. I don't know. We can go on speculating, but at the end of the day, like you said, Guto, maybe it's good for you to kind of get that problem out
Mm.
of the locker room.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're going to start kind of fresh. Um, because I guess, like you said, without Darnell Mooney, I'm guessing he was your number three wide receiver,
Number two, number three. Yeah.
number two or
Yeah.
number three. Yeah, yeah. Still a
I
big
believe we
decision
still
to get
have.
rid of him mid-season, I
Yeah.
suppose. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it's behavioural issues and you have to, and if a coach or if a especially if a head coach wants to make an impression and to kind of like stamp his authority, especially if someone is going outside of the code, then obviously
Mm.
that's the way to stamp your authority, to send him home early before a game and ultimately to release him as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a fair warning to see that don't mess with our kind of our way of of dealing and I guess the culture within the locker room. That's what I'm trying to say. The
Yeah.
culture. Don't mess
Yeah.
with our culture. So yeah. Like I said, Bijan's going to go off on this. I'd be surprised if Drake London doesn't go off as well. And the other thing, Gito, that I watch out, especially on this as well, is I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a big game because Dolphins are notorious. We can't cover tight ends. We haven't been able to cover tight ends for up to a decade now. And I
Mm.
believe you got Kyle Pitts in your fantasy league.
I do. Week 8 is also famous for being a tight end week.
Okay,
So tight
lovely.
ends usually step up in week 8 for some reason. That's what they call it, is tight end week. So
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. The Petties do a really good game, and I think
Yeah.
we've got a chance to do it here. Yeah.
Just back to Mike McDaniel quickly.
Mm.
I'm not. The, the thing is for me, Gito, is who's there to replace him?
Exactly. Yeah.
We've got one of the worst defenses in the league, and I'm really, really disappointed because I thought Anthony Weaver, our DC, would be a potentially a head coach candidate going into next year.
Mm.
That has diminished massively due to our horrific defense this year. Um, I think this is what's happening behind the scenes. I think that they're keeping McDaniel and they're not benching Tua in order for us to potentially keep on track to have that number one draft pick next season. Because if they do
Yeah.
make a change, and like you said, all of a sudden the Dolphins turn it around and they win even 2 or 3 towards the end of the season, as things stand, I don't see anything getting better anytime soon because we're playing the Falcons. Then we've got a short week. We're playing the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, where Lamar Jackson will probably be back.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to Madrid. We're playing the Commanders in Spain, and I don't think the Dolphins are going to travel very well there either. And I'm sure Jaden Daniels will be back for that game.
Mm.
We have to play the Bills. We have to play the Patriots again. I know that we have to play the Jets and the Saints. Those are the only 2 winnable games I see all season.
Yeah.
So, in order to be as high up that draft, I think they're going to keep everyone, and I believe at the end of the season they're going to get rid of hopefully our GM. That's where the cancer is, Gito. We need to get rid of our GM as soon as possible. They need to blow everything up. A lot of talk, Gito, has been saying that after signing Tua Tagovailoa to a massive deal at the beginning of last season, that
Yeah.
we're going to do what the Broncos did with Russell Wilson, that they're going to eat up the cap space, take the hit, the cap hit, and we're going to release him at the end of the season.
Wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens because Tua has just completely gone off the rails this year in more on the field and off the field as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
sad times for the Dolphins at the moment, and I'm just I'm just going through the motions every Sunday, which is not ideal. But in order for us to be successful down the line in a couple of years' time, we're going to have to go through this once again. Unfortunately, it's the NFL merry-go-round, and we're going to have to blow things up once again. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. But there we are. So that's probably the most convincing victory, probably in terms of all the games that we've got for our five of the week. Is the Dolphins Falcons game at the end of the season?
Well,
Um,
it's yeah. What did you make of Tua's comment before the game on the weekend with players not performing well in training or not turning up in training? What did you make of that?
I think it was taken out of context. So basically, he was saying that players haven't been turning up to um, optional studies such as watching
Hmm.
film. So this is not mandatory things. So if it
No.
was mandatory, I'd think, okay, fair enough. He's calling people out here, but this is optional things. So
Hmm.
I don't see what the point of saying it really was. And he commented after the Browns loss as well, which was probably one of the worst embarrassing losses that I've encountered as a Dolphins fan, especially over the last 5 or 10 years, against the Cleveland team who were, let's be honest, Gito, they were 1-5.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, his second, third professional game. But anyway, enough enough about that game. Tua came out at the end and he said, "Well, we're going to see now over the week who's going to be my players that I'm going to take with me going forward." Again, taken out of context, I don't really know what that means. Tua was benched, by the way, in the fourth quarter, and we bought our rookie Quinn Ewers on um, for the last two or three series. Um, so if things carry on, Gito, I do see Tua being benched towards the end of the season, especially after
Hmm.
our bye coming back from Madrid after the Washington Commanders game. So look out for that as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, it's dark times at the moment. It's tough times where we're just gonna have to suck it up, and ultimately it's a dysfunctional franchise, and we need to get rid of it starts with our core. It starts with our GM. We need to rebuild from the ground up, and it's going to be a long process. But hey, we're not here to bring a big downer on things because there's so much amazing things going on in the NFL, and the
Yeah.
Dolphins aren't one of those things at the moment. But at least you're not a Jets fan. But anyway, could be worse. Um, anything else, Gito, before we wrap up this episode?
I believe we are good, David. We've covered what we wanted to cover.
Yeah,
I've given the 49ers some flowers after we've
yeah, yeah,
been
yeah.
pretty
Fair.
harsh on them the last few weeks, but I think
Very
it's
humble
worth
of you
it.
to do so. Fair play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, but no, we've covered everything. There's six teams on the bye in week 8, so
yeah,
that's why the games are looking short. Also, for the UK fans and possibly European fans, the games will be starting an hour early. So if you live in Wales, London,
correct.
Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, the games will start at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock on
Yeah,
Sunday due to the clocks going forward, and a
Bosco.
five past eight, 25 past 8 game. So yeah, it's nice to have a game early on.
I
So
was going to say it's nice to have an earlier slate of games. Maybe 5 o'clock is a little bit weird, but especially for that
mm,
usually 9 o'clock start.
yeah,
Having an
yeah,
8 o'clock start or an 8:25 start, and especially if you're watching a Monday night as well, or even a Sunday night football, having it
mm,
starting at midnight instead of starting at 1 is more doable, isn't it?
mm, yeah, yeah.
So I'll see if so the Dolphins Falcons is a 5 o'clock kickoff. Who are
It is.
the primetime games this Sunday, by the way?
So the Sunday primetime game. So let's go with. So after the 5 o'clock games, the Saints and Bucks are at 8:05. The Colts and the
Okay.
Titans are at 8:25. The Broncos and Cowboys would be the
Okay.
8:25 games, and then
Yeah.
and then Sunday night midnight, Steelers Packers, and then Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Commanders.
Chiefs Commanders. Fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
starting off
Cool.
Thursday night with the Chargers against the Vikings.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
An interesting game that one will be.
Just last note on the Chargers, Gito, in their loss. Justin Herbert threw for over 400 yards,
Hmm.
and they still lost the game pretty
Yeah,
convincingly too. But we've already said about the Colts at the beginning of the episode as well. But yeah, Chargers
yeah,
are sliding at the moment, and Justin Herbert's offensive line is has basically gone missing over the last couple of weeks. I know they've lost. Obviously,
yeah,
they lost Joe Alt and they lost Rashawn Slater at the beginning of the season,
yeah.
but they still managed to beat the Dolphins. Haha. But anyway, I digress. I think that's a good place to finish there, Guitar. Like I said,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot, and we'll definitely the game that I'll definitely be watching is that Giants Eagles game. I really want to watch Jackson Dart. I have to say now that the
Mm.
Detroit Lions are on bye this week, I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to watch that Eagles Giants game.
me too. Me too. I think that's the game to watch. Broncos Cowboys, I think, will still be the game of the week.
Yeah, yeah,
But obviously, we'll probably have 2 or 3 screens on in our house here. Obviously, I have to watch the Falcons and the Dolphins game.
yeah. I'll
Um,
watch. Yes, I will watch it.
so
Yes, of
we'll have
course.
to. We'll have to. And
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah.
forward to talking about it next week, David.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully we'll have your company as well back here on the NFL Cymru pod.
Mm.
Keep an eye out on the socials. We will be having some special guests on some upcoming episodes. Just a
Hmm.
small hint there for you. Who will it be? I wonder. I don't know. Oh, just before we finish, Guitar, shout out to the friend of the pod, Ewan Furnham, playing for Brunel University up in London.
Yeah.
Had a brilliant victory, first game of the season against Portsmouth. Well done.
Well done.
Um,
Congrats,
I was
Johan.
talking to Johan on
Go
Saturday.
get
He
it.
sent me a link to watch, and we might actually put a link on our socials closer to the time. Because I think they're going to be playing again on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
talking about Johan, and they were having a meeting because they had to adjust some of their plays because of the weather. Because we had some stormy weather here in the UK or in Wales on the weekend, but they won handsomely. So congratulations to Brunel University. Well done, Johan.
Mm.
He keeps rolling. So yeah, they want to know. Keep going. Hopefully, we will definitely have him back very very soon.
Mm.
And like I said, we're going to have some more contributors on the NFL Cymru pod very very shortly. I believe our time is up. Keep look out on Gitter on our socials on X. Do you want to say to the viewers, Gitter, that we've changed our name on socials?
Yes, so we're still known as obviously NFL Cymru. We still have the NFL
Yes.
Cymru podcast, but we've just changed our handles slightly just to make it look a bit more professional. So if you're looking for us on Twitter or X, if you're looking for us on Instagram, it's at Wales NFL. As simple as that. Wales NFL.
Because let's be honest,
We're more than a podcast.
we are the majority. I was going to say we represent the whole country in
Hmm.
terms of the NFL world here, don't we?
Yeah,
We're taking
yeah.
over.
We're
Yeah,
more than a podcast. We're a brand.
I'm sh-
We want to be.
I'm sure our dear friend Canan Arnold would have something to say about that. But anyway, on that note, yeah, shout out to Ydi'r Helmed and Fitio, by the way, the Welsh
Mm.
language pod, to Canan Arnold, who was there. I believe Canan went to every single London game.
He
Horsod.
went to 2. He went to
He went
2.
at least two, yeah, and he
2.
probably went to two of the worst games. Unfortunately, he went to the Jets game and he went to the Rams game. But there we
Yeah,
are. But
yeah.
anyway, shout out to Canan as well and everyone else on our fantasy league.
He's smashing it.
Um,
Ken's smashing it.
yeah. Guitar, have a lovely weekend. Any
And you?
plans? Because I know you've had a lot of birthdays recently, haven't you?
Yeah, October's a very busy month, but we're into the quiet bits now. Quite quiet weekends are on the way. So yeah, nothing much for me this weekend. Just peace and
Sweet.
quiet. Go for a
Cool.
walk, enjoy NFL Sunday,
Nice.
and yeah, yeah. What about you, Dad?
I wish I could say the same. I am off to Harrogate in North Yorkshire on Saturday, so it's a 10-hour round trip journey for me on
Mm.
Saturday. So I'm going to be working for Radio Wales, covering Newport County up in Harrogate town on Saturday. Coming back on late Saturday evening, and then I'm presenting actually on Tuesday evening Wales women against Poland. Shout out, by the way, Jess Fishlock's last game for the Wales women for Wales women's football team on Saturday. They've got a friendly against Australia, so I'm going to be picking up Wales women's friendly game on Tuesday night. Listen, Radio Cymru, Radio Wales, Tuesday evening. That's going to be on Rodney Parade as well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be, and obviously watching the NFL slate on Sunday as well. So yeah, quite a busy one for me, Guitar.
Yeah,
For that, thank you very much for your company. Thank you very much for watching, for listening. Episode will be up on YouTube in the next 24 hours or so. Keep an eye out, and obviously keep an eye out on our socials throughout the week. Thank you once again for Gitto for taking the load on that one. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you shortly.